everyone. I'm Meg Maurer, an APL staff member, and this podcast will hopefully provide you with some basic and practical information about the voting process, like absentee ballots, early voting, and voting on the November 3rd general election. And to help me sort all this out is Gienabou Diallo from the League of Women Voters of Albany County.
I'm excited to be here.
Can you just tell us a little bit about the League of Women Voters and what inspired you to join them?
My name is Gienabou Diallo, and I got involved with the League of Women Voters because I wanted to participate in an organization that provided voter education to people, particularly in communities that I represent. In the past, I had worked on Sam Fine's campaign as his community outreach director. And when we received election results, I was shocked at how low voter turnout was in certain communities. For example, the housing at Ezra Prentice only had 8 people who had voted in the entire housing. And to go even further with disparities, when we looked at the results, had 2 neighborhoods, equal population in the city of Albany. One neighborhood was predominantly public housing. The other neighborhood was predominantly wealthy, mostly single family homes with the population of 780 people, equally. Public housing, only 26 votes. Single family homes, 179. So you can see the disparity. You can see how certain communities don't vote. It made me realize that collective effort through voting actually makes an impact. And I wanted to make a difference because I realized that a lot of people are misinformed of their rights as a voter, or they're just completely disengaged. So one night I went to South End Night Market and I met some members of the league, and from there, they welcomed me with open arms, and I immediately took initiative to help with voter registration and voter education projects, which is why I'm here today. I just feel that the league has given me a bigger voice, so I hope to continue to use it to empower people, especially young people, on the importance of voting, and I look forward to it. So I love working with the women, and it's just been a great experience.
What do you say when you come across someone who might be disillusioned about voting, like they're sick of politics or they really believe their vote doesn't count? What would you say to them?
Well, I would say that your choice, your voice, your power, people should vote for many reasons. And I feel like people should know the history of process of voting, right? So first and foremost, I'm not sure if people are aware of the 15th Amendment, but that law was created because people were disenfranchised. It was a law specifically made for voting, And in 1965, the Voting Rights Act actually expanded that message to apply to all people, and it took away laws that were put into place that disenfranchised people. So what this means is that once upon a time, people were not given the right to vote for centuries, and that right was fought for. And today you have the right to vote. So I think if people can recognize it as a privilege and as something that they should exercise as a privilege and as a citizen, they know that the most important right as a United States citizen is the right to vote. So you want to exercise that. Some people also believe that their votes don't matter and that elections are like predestined. Yeah. Our electoral college system, people already think that their vote doesn't matter. But I think that that's a myth. So I understand that our government system works in a specific way. But in 2016, for example, many people were surprised with the election results, showing that you really never know how the outcome is going to be until votes are counted. So this means your vote does matter, particularly in local elections. For example, you have to vote on the ground up if you want your vote to matter, because the presidential election is only one election throughout the year. And I think people don't really realize that there are multiple elections. There are primary elections. So what I say is that your vote is your voice, and many decisions impact you. So your schools, for example, the roads, police, clean water, the environment, these are all decided at the local level. So I say, if you want your elected officials to actually make change, they work for you. And the only way that they can hear you is through your vote. And it was a little analogy that I thought about as think of your vote as the key to your apartment, right? If you don't use it, you can't get inside. So what are you going to do? That's just how I would try to empower people, just kind of giving them a little background of voting, but also just realizing that this is something that you should consider just as essential as breathing air. It's that important. And you want to make sure that that's something that you recognize as a privilege and, you use it.
Just remember, it is your choice, your voice, and your power, especially this year. The country is so divided and there's strong opinions on both sides of the aisle. So vote your belief.
Vote your belief, vote your values. You can make a difference. It's bigger than you think. And it's a collective effort. And I think that that's a key phrase because, as an individual, it may not seem like your vote matters, but as a community, your vote does. Your vote isn't only about you. Think about your children. Think about your family. Think about other people, right? And put yourself in their shoes. And that could be another motivator because it's bigger than you. So if you can train your mind to think in that way, it'll be easier for you to go out and vote.
And we saw how powerful the vote is, both with President Obama and President Trump.
Right, exactly.
As I understand it, there are 3 options to vote this year: by absentee ballot, by early voting, or on Election Day, November 3rd. So can I just first ask you, is there a difference between absentee ballot and mail-in ballot?
No, there's not really a difference between absentee and mail-in, except just the terminology that we're using. Because of COVID-19 in New York State now, everyone can vote absentee. So mail-in ballot is the same as an absentee ballot, but we've just been using the term absentee more often because it's something that is becoming the norm now.
Are residents going to just automatically get an absentee ballot, or do they have to request one?
No. So for this general election coming up, no, you have to request the ballot and you can do it online. This is actually new. If you want more information, you can go to your State Board of Elections website. And you can also mail it in paper form to your county board of elections. You have to request it though. And when you do send it over, you have to put a stamp on it because that's just a new rule now. It's not automatic. So make sure you request it and make sure you put a stamp on it if you decide to mail it in.
And I think you can also call to request it and email the Board of Elections.
Yeah, I think so too. I think just reaching out to your Board of Elections is going to be key.
Yeah, it's the Board of Elections of Albany County.
Yes.
518-487-5060.
Okay, I think you should repeat that again. 518-487.
5060. And if people want to email a request in, they should email Board of Elections at albanycounty.com. And I think, can you go in person to the Board of Elections to get a ballot, an absentee ballot?
Yep.
Yeah, they're not going to be mad at you if you come in person, even though you're going to vote.
As long as you have on your mask and you follow, COVID precautions, I don't think there should be a problem.
Is there anything else people should know about the absentee ballot?
Yes. So the deadline to apply for a ballot is October 27th. And you can return the ballot by mail. Again, like I said, don't forget to add the stamp. And the deadline to return your ballot is to be postmarked by Election Day, November 3rd. So you have up until October 27th to apply for the ballot. And it has to be sent in before November 3rd. So you have about, how many days is that? 28, 29, 30, 1, 2, 3. So you have about a 6-day window between the time that you can apply for the ballot and return your ballot if you do apply on October 27th.
Once you have your absentee ballot and you fill it out, besides mailing it, you can also bring it in person.
You can bring it in
Board
person.
of Elections.
Yes, I think they have a new thing where they have a drop box put your absentee ballot in, but because it's so new, you'd have to probably call your Board of Elections to make sure that they have one there. That's something that's new because of COVID. They're trying to make things easier for people.
The Board of Elections is located at 260 South Pearl Street in the former motor vehicle.
A lot of people want to know if absentee ballots are safe because of everything that's going on. Yes, they're absolutely safe. You feel safe and comfortable voting in person. Personally, I'd recommend a person to go in and either do early voting or election day voting, since it'll be counted on the actual date. You know, absentee is convenient for a lot of other reasons. It's just up to you and what you want to do. Figure out what you want to do as part of your voter plan.
Do you think there's any danger of fraud? A lot of people are saying that there's a lot of room for fraud with the absentee ballots or mail-in ballots.
At this point, I think a lot of people are questioning the legitimacy of our government and how things are being decided. So for me personally, I'd go in person because that gives me more certainty. We just never really know. So if you do have that doubt, right, when in doubt, just go in person.
The second voting option is to vote during the early voting period. Can you explain what that means?
Yes, so early voting is something fairly new, and we are super excited about it, right? Because you get to go to the polls earlier than election day, and you get 9 days of early voting. This year, early voting is October 24th through November 1st. The times vary every day. Locations are different than your election day polling location. There are 5 different locations for early voting in Albany County. You can vote at any locations in your county. So for example, if you live on South Pearl Street, you don't have to go to South Pearl Street to vote early. For me, early voting is my favorite option because it gives you flexibility and autonomy over your time. It's going to be fewer people, which means that there shouldn't be lines, and it might be the best option for COVID. It's better to have a backup plan. So for example, if your absentee ballot, gets lost in the mail, or if you're planning to vote in person and your car breaks down, you have a 9-day window to kind of figure out how you want to vote through early voting.
There are fewer early voting sites than in the general election on November 3rd. You can vote at any of the 6 you prefer. The one in Albany is at the Albany County Board of Elections. That's in the city of Albany. There are only 6 of them county-wide. To find out where the locations are and the hours that you can come in and do the early voting, you can get that from Vote 411, right?
Yeah, it has everything. It has information, general question concerns. It has information about elected officials in your district or county. So you can go to Vote 411 to be a smart voter.
Okay, so as I said, the Albany County Board of Elections on South Pearl Street. The other one in the city of Albany is Pine Grove United Methodist Church at 1580 Central Ave. So those are the 2 that are in Albany. Another one is the Byrne Volunteer Fire Company, Bethlehem Lutheran Church in Delmar, Boat Community Fire Department in Cohoes, and Guilderland Fire Department in Guilderland. Those are the only 6 locations you can do the early voting from October 24th through November 1st. I'll just go quickly over the hours because they're the same at each location. Saturday and Sunday, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Okay. Monday and Wednesday, noon to 8 p.m. Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
If you want to access this information, I think maybe the league will provide that information, but it's also available at your Board of Elections website. Election day is November 3rd. Polling site is likely, if you're a habitual voter, it's likely your usual site, but you should check to be sure. And you can check online at the state or county Board of Elections site, or you can call your county Board of Elections to find out exactly where you need to go. Crowds might be less than usual since there's a lot of people who are voting absentee and early this year because of COVID. If you do decide to go, I would pack a little sandwich, bring water, bring your mask, There's obviously going to be social distancing rules, lots of hand sanitizer. So be prepared for, a stricter compliance or stricter way to vote this year.
If you don't know where your poll site is, you go to albanycounty.com/vote, or the Board of Elections phone number is 518-487-5060. And when you find out where you vote, you can also discover who your representatives are locally, regionally, and nationally.
And you can also find more information on vote411.org. Please, please, please generate a voter plan. First decide, right? Will I vote absentee? Will I vote early in person or in person on election day? So ask yourself those 3 questions. It's important to recognize which option works best for you and then follow up with a plan of action. If you have a plan, I think it makes it more likely to follow through with it. And it allows you to do your homework ahead of time. So that can limit the amount of questions or concerns that you have as election day approaches. And just having resources available to you can make you more of an informed voter and make more of an informed decision. One cool thing is on the Albany County Board of Elections website, you actually can see your sample ballot and everyone running if you type in your address on where do I vote page. You can also research candidates online, their websites, follow their social media. Sometimes you can even reach out to the campaigns and can sometimes even talk directly to the candidate. I say it's easy to be an informed voter rather than harder. You just have to do your part.
There are a lot of important races going on other than the presidential race. Our congressional representative, our state senator, and member of the state assembly. The candidate could vary.
Yes.
Depending on where you live.
Right.
And then the district attorney can find all this out by looking at the sample ballot from the websites we mentioned. A few times I've been a poll worker, a lot of new voters. It's interesting how anxious they are about the process. Where you just go to the polling site door and then we can guide you from there.
Something that comes up often when people who have just registered to vote are trying to figure out which party they should be part of. We actually have information on vote411.org that you can check to see where each party stands on certain issues. That could alleviate some of that stress.
You don't have to join a party at all.
Right.
You can register to vote and not join Republican or Democrat or any of the other parties.
It's important to know that if you aren't registered in a party, you can't vote in the primary. So you want to make the most educated decision and the best decision if you want to exercise your right to vote on all elections.
You got the power.
You got the power. You got the power.
So is there anything else we need to go over?
We wanted to talk a little bit about what are some of the local and regional issues that could be influenced by voting, right? And put that out there and kind of put into perspective what people are thinking about right now and what issues are important to them. Right now with COVID, right? How will we respond to COVID? I think that's the biggest question of the world right now. Will children go back to school? Will we have mask requirements for the rest of eternity? Will local businesses get assistance? Will every American get another $1,200 check? Will we have a vaccine soon? There's just so many questions on people's minds, whether the government will provide everyone with health care, right? Because of systems, have shown that they're inefficient. So this is why this election is very, very important. Whether or not the government is going to provide student loan forgiveness, right? Because with schools closed down, there's a lot of people, do we have to pay tuition if everything's going to be online now, if everything's going to be virtual? How is the federal government going to address police reform issues, criminal justice? With everything going on with Black Lives Matter, who will the new Supreme Court justice be? There's a big debate right now on abortion rights and whether or not it's going to stay with Obamacare and Medicaid. There's just a lot of things that I think people are concerned about. The legality of things like gay marriage, funding for our local schools, roads, local government, just you name it,
Yes. Oh gosh, that is quite a roster. There's so much to be concerned about and so many reasons to vote.
So many reasons to vote. This is going to not only affect us, but our future, and we shape it. So we have to get involved and we have to vote. And I can't emphasize that enough. Your vote is your voice, and there should be no reason why you're not voting.
On election day, the polls are open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. So that gives you a pretty good span of time to get to
sun up to sundown. You could go eat if you want to. If you like to jog in the morning, jog to the polling station. So allocate 10 to 15 minutes out of your day to go and vote, and you have polling locations all over.
Of course, you have to go to the right one.
Right.
Yeah. I've seen. Yeah, don't go to any poll.
Don't go to anyone.
Anyway, I've seen people walking their dogs. They come to the polling site with their dog and
bring your form of ID, obviously, right? You don't want to go in and not have any identification, and go in with a positive mindset, right? Exercise your right. This is fun. Like, make voting fun. And even if you see the world in a pessimistic way, still vote. It's better to be, a pessimist or an optimist than be indifferent. Indifferent is the worst feeling to have, because then you're just not engaged at all, right? And apathetic to something as important as your right to vote it's not the way we want. It's not the direction we need right now.
Hey, I really enjoyed speaking with you, and thanks so much for participating in this.
Thank you for having me. And again, I represent the League of Women Voters. Please vote November 3rd. Get your absentees. You have until October 27th. And please check out vote411.org and stay tuned for our Get Smart Basics of Voting, Voter Education, Media live stream event on October 15th. Please follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, and we can't wait to see you vote and get smart. We were excited.
The Albany Made Podcast is a production of Albany Public Library in Albany, New York. Produced by Ryan Slowey. You can find more episodes on SoundCloud, iTunes, and other podcast apps. You can also listen on YouTube at Albany NY Library and on our website, albanypubliclibrary.org.